I don't know, nothing really, I guess. I don't think this is randomized, and I don't think this is like I think everything is running smooth over there to what they want to do. It's just no one has the knowledge.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have any drafts and you can't garner any draft picks, I have heard they've been working the phone to possibly get into the draft.
I've always felt like they've never been in a rush to do pressers. They've never been in a rush to meet with the media, whether it's a coach gets fired and then Josh waits 4 or 5 days to have the presser. You get to the end of the season, you wait 4 or 5 days. It just feels like they're on their own timeline, which is fine.
And you're not getting a bunch of leaky stuff, which also says to me maybe some of the people that have been, we're not going to rehire you or bring you back, were some of the leaky guys.
Okay.
Because wouldn't they've leaked that they're not coming back if they were leaky?
Well, not if they were holding out hope.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't know. Listen. I'm. It is what it is. I still think that to run the back purely back is what the team had. You're a second round team.
All right, let me give you some different things here then. Perhaps this is Vic Lombardi this morning talking about what he's hearing or a possibility for the Nuggets.
Here's the deal I saw. I saw this prospective deal, and this included some trades. The Suns eventually would send Kevin Durant to the Spurs. The Spurs you have to have a third team involved, and it would net the Nuggets Harrison Barnes, Grayson Allen, and Royce O'Neal. They have to give up Michael Porter Jr., Zeke Naji to make the salaries work.
For what now?
It's a 3-team deal. And these things, again, these are far-fetched. You put them in the trade machine. The Nuggets are part of a 3-team deal to make the money work. And the crux of this deal is for the Spurs to get Kevin Durant. Suns send Kevin Durant, Spurs set Kevin Durant. The Spurs would then have to wheel and deal and send the Nuggets Harrison Barnes, and the Suns would have to send the Nuggets Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal. So the Nuggets have Harrison Barnes, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal.
We have to have Grayson Allen on our team?
Okay, there's that. That's for KD. Let me give you one other thing for KD too. Rick Bucher on a podcast.
Because I think ultimately the best place for him, if Phoenix were willing to do it, is to send him to the Denver Nuggets. And I would even trade Jamal Murray to make that happen. If I have Jokic, Aaron Gordon, and Kevin Durant, I'd first try to see if I could make a deal built around Michael Porter Jr.
Sure.
But if they don't go for that, I would deal Jamal Murray if I could get KD, Aaron Gordon, and Jokic, because Jokic is he's kind of my point center anyway, right? I can play through him, and the idea of having KD and Aaron Gordon working on both sides of the floor off of that, I can fill the rest of the blanks. And I would, if you put KD there, I look at that team, and I think they can contend with Oklahoma City right now.
All right. Reaction to that?
So, saying you'd probably have to give up Jamal and Michael Porter Jr., correct?
No, he said initially he said I would try to deal Porter.
Right, but we all know that ain't
chances
gonna
are
do
it would have to be Jamal. Money-wise, Jamal fits.
Okay, would I trade Jamal Murray straight up for Kevin Durant? That's the question?
Basically.
Yes.
And I think that was Bucher saying too.
Yes. What's the question?
Well,
how quickly can we do it?
I guess that's the question.
Here's the bad thing. They're going to get stuck with, what was the guard they got from Washington? They're stuck with his contract for another 3 years. No one wants to trade for him. He's a little older. This contract is basically what KD is making. So are they trying to get lower or just younger? That's the question.
Let me ask you this. You have to make these deals. Now, the draft is next Wednesday. Free agency begins on July 6th. So it's different than in the NFL, where free agency is actually quite a bit before the draft.
Well, but you can start negotiating and talking on June 30th.
Okay.
You can't sign officially anybody until June 6th or July 6th.
Okay. So big deal or not a big deal that trades happen before the draft?
Well, you heard the big trade that's going from Memphis to Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Not consummated, but it's out there.
Right.
So those things are probably being discussed right now.
Okay, but to get Kevin Durant, do you have to get it done before the draft? Or not, because free agency is later?
If you do not have a draft pick,
which they don't right now,
from a PR move, that'd be a hell of a PR move.
Well, it feels like before the draft, you got to do one of two things. You either got to accumulate a draft pick or two, or you need to make a move to justify not accumulating a draft pick or two. So, yes, I do think that it needs to be done before the draft. So you got about 6 days here.
What was the cornerback that got traded to Jacksonville for all the draft picks?
Jalen Ramsey.
And now he's holding out this year.
Jalen Ramsey he was traded from
Dolphins
he's
now,
been traded twice actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you remember the haul that they got when they traded him the first time?
Jacksonville was unbelievable. They got like a couple of first-round draft picks, but the second time he got dealt, it was like for a third and a fifth.
Well, and go look what Durant got, dealt with first, and now what people are just talking about now.
How much is Jamal making again?
I think his extension kicks in next year around 50.
Okay, well, that's actually pretty close. I mean, Kevin Durant's making 48.5, so that adds up, actually.
Would you want Kevin Durant
Yes.
without Jamal?
I mean, the real question is not Jamal for Kevin Durant, because that's not going to get it done. Kevin Durant for Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., my answer would probably still be yes.
What about the core four? What are we doing to
That'd
that?
be more valuable.
It would be collector's items,
It'd
like
be a
you
collector's
said.
item.
Yeah, like what's it going to be?
Well, I mean, if you could do a Zeke Najee, a Jamal, and who else they put in there? Maybe a Deron Holmes because he's a young guy.
I just put the Tooth Fairy in there too.
Well, and Deron Holmes for KD and the guy that Mosier hates, Grayson
Allen.
Yeah, they could use a little Grayson Allen.
Yeah, a
Wow,
little attitude.
Jamal Murray's making more money than Kevin Durant next year.
Yeah,
that's nuts.
Yeah. So would you trade Deron Holmes, Zeke Najee, and Jamal Murray for Kate? And then we'll throw it out to the people on Twitch for KD and Grayson Allen.
So I know that I forget who we were listening to there, was talking about, well, we've got a point center, but who's going to be our point guard?
Well, Grayson Allen, if you got him in that trade, could play a little bit of that. He could bring it up. And then, listen, you still got Jalen Pickett.
You got Jalen Pickett.
I mean, what's the little backup point guard
ready for
Indiana? Would you mind having that guy?
McConnell?
Yeah.
I love McConnell.
Gillespie's in Phoenix. Maybe he gets thrown in on the deal too. I mean, can we look for our short white slot receiver? Could Gillespie come in there and play TJ McConnell?
Hey, I recognize this conversation. This is what we do around with the NFL. When we just start spitballing things left and right that probably don't even exist in reality. This is what we do. This is what happens now.
Well, I know Rick Bucher well. In fact, I could probably call him and see if we can get him on.
Just get him on.
I think in fact I know he loves Joker.
Okay, well, all right.
So,
add him to the list.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's a bold step.
Breaking news.
Yeah.
People like Joker.
Well, I say this because Rick's been a national guy since I've known him for 25 years.
He has stood up. He was the most adamant national voice about Joker winning the MVP this year. No doubt about it. He said it every single time the whole year. He was one of the guys that said, we are going to look back on this year and be amazed that he didn't win it. And he said that for a long time. So it would be good to get Bucher on. He's got a high belief in Joker. And if he thinks KD would work out the best here, so be it. But I'm just checking that we've got the parts in place to make the deal happen in case it can happen. And I guess Tommy Belsedis was just not going to be part of that in the future. And to me, Tyler, that does indicate that they've figured something out. And Scott, you're kind of hinting down that path too. It's just not really been announced, but it feels like it. It feels like we're good. We know what we're doing, and now we've made some decisions.
Unless you're waiting on Bob Myers still for some reason, which is not happening.
Yeah, I've heard that. I heard that a lot, like today and yesterday, and I don't quite get the concept. Like why?
What are you waiting for?
Yeah, why would a TV job be more important than being a GM?
It would not. It would not. And even if he wanted to finish out the TV job, he still could. There'd be nothing preventing him from finishing out the finals here and coming over in 5 days.
Yeah, I'm not buying that one. That does not make sense to me. And frankly, if we're waiting for a guy to get done with a TV job,
well,
is that the guy we really should be that focused on anyways?
To me, it wouldn't really add up with promoting David Adelman from within either.
I don't think the Bob Myers thing makes any. I don't think the waiting for the TV thing makes sense. I don't think it makes sense, period. With everything that's going on, I think it makes no sense. I think what they're doing right now actually makes total sense. If Ben Tenzer perhaps is elevated to the president of basketball, and then they bring in like another operational scout GM sort of guy. I mean, it would be a GM with less hand. But when you look at the Avalanche, I mean, Joe Sakic made a firm statement at their end of the year press conference. The buck still stops with him, that he's involved with all of it. And and I respect Chris McFarland, but when Joe was at that press conference and said that, I believed him.
Yep.
And it just seems hard for me to believe when you've got what you feel and has been a pretty successful formula on one side of the building, when things go sideways in a different way, it's natural to think you would just try to replicate what has gone well. So Tenzer moving up to some sort of executive president of basketball, and then somebody else, maybe a name we don't even know, right? Somebody in the scouting community, somebody that they're comfortable with, that Adelman has some sort of relationship with, that everybody likes. Could be somebody really off the charts that we haven't even heard of.
Well, you look at the benches